So the hatred and the violence and the persecution is continuing. I've just been attacked again this morning at 8:30 after I laid out why it is that I will not be exposing myself to danger. I'm not the criminal. I'm being criminally harassed. And the wicked who understand nothing have blind eyes and deaf ears, so they're continuing to refuse to listen to my clear, concise instructions. I don't require your services. I don't require your help. It was the 20th of September. It's about 10 minutes after 9, and now I have to try to figure out who it is that I need to contact. Because what's happening, these are hate crimes that are occurring. This sadistic, sociopathic system and its employees are using all of their snake system to cause me to be in fear of my life and in fear of harm and injury. Now, that's a crime. That is the crime. Those are crimes. This is malicious prosecution. So now I'm going to try to phone the West Shore RCMP and get a contact number for the BC hate crime team. Because, who is helping me? Who is stepping in and saying, no, she's not the criminal here, she's the victim of the crimes, and you're not listening to her, and you're not serving her or her family. And so that's called discrimination. It's blatant discrimination.
Hello, you've reached the West Shore RCMP detachment. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911 now. For our address and office hours, please press 1. Please listen carefully to the following prompts as they have changed. If you wish to report an incident or create a police file, please press 2 for the report desk. If you wish to update or have any questions about an existing file, please press 3 for switchboard. If you are calling about a police information or criminal record check, or you need to book an appointment for civil fingerprinting, please press 4 for the front counter. If you are looking to request information from or need a copy of the police report or have a Freedom of Information inquiry, please press 5 for disclosure. If you wish to inquire about community policing, including the Indigenous Policing Unit, school liaison office.
Wait while I transfer your call. Morning, West Shore RCMP.
Hi there. I'm on Vancouver Island here. I'm in the area of Saanich. And
Okay.
I'm looking to contact the BC Hate Crimes Unit, and I'm not quite sure how I would get a hold of someone who works in that department.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, just because you're a resident of Saanich, I'm actually going to transfer you over to Saanich Police, and from there they'll be able to assist, okay?
But wait a minute, if I need federal help, if I need federal government help, because that's municipal, I need someone from the federal government, because this is...
Now, okay, so I just need a little more context of what's going on, because Saanich would still be able to assist with you.
Well, that's the problem, that I'm trying to report municipal corruption, and so this is why this is why we can't contact them, because they are part of the problem.
Okay, I see what you mean. If you just bear with me for a couple seconds here, what I'm going to do is actually pull up a different number for you, which would help then with municipal policing agencies, okay? So just bear with me for one moment here, okay?
Yes.
Hi there, thanks for holding. So what it's going to do is actually transfer your call over to the Office of Police Complaint Commissioner, and from there they'll be able to assist you further, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome. Complaint Commissioner. Please hold for the next available representative. Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner, how may I help you?
Hi there. I would like to... Well, I'm going to try to report some municipal corruption in the area that I'm in.
Okay, what's the police department?
Saanich Police Department.
Okay, and what was your name?
My name is Victoria.
Okay. Okay, Victoria. What was your last name?
It's Nevens,
Ethan?
Nevens.
Okay. Yeah, so you have made a complaint recently, is that correct?
Not with the I was hoping to get in contact with the BCRCMP hate crime unit, but I don't think I've reached the right number.
No, so we don't have jurisdiction with RCMP matters.
No, wait a minute. I called the RCMP specifically, and I asked to be, at least for a number there must be a hate crime unit. The RCMP must be running a hate crime unit in British Columbia.
That I'm not aware of, but if they did provide you our phone number, I'm sorry they did, because that's not correct information that they gave you. This is strictly for municipal police complaints.
Wait a minute, are you the Office of the Police Complaints Commissioner?
That's correct, yeah.
I have my file number here. Has there been an individual assigned to that file yet? Or am I still kind of in limbo?
Yeah, it looks like it's still waiting to be assigned at the moment.
Well, I've had another incident this morning, and this is where I needed to speak to the federal persons who are acting as the federal government, because I'm dealing with municipal government, and now we've got the situation where, well, I'm not even kidding you, like I'm literally in fear for my life. Like you deal with nameless, faceless individuals who will not listen. They're not reasonable. I'm the victim of the crime, and now once again I'm being treated like the criminal. So I'm in fear for my life. So I have no idea where a woman who's being persecuted to this level is going to go and find help. Like, do you know any phone numbers of anybody who's going to say, let's just listen to her for a second and see what's really going on? You know, because now it's Friday. If they come back here and they take me by force from where I'm at, and now I'm in fear for my life, and now I've been informed of some other type of malicious actions that they've taken against me, because I wouldn't agree to their malicious prosecution, because my time is precious and I have the right to liberty. I thought this was Canada where people had rights. I don't seem to have any rights. And so I don't know who it is that I'm supposed to be calling, who's supposed to be listening to me, to get all of this hatred and all of this violence away from me and out of my life. You know, there's actually criminals here in British Columbia that need to be dealt with, and I am not a criminal. So this is a waste of resources. This is a waste of taxpayer dollars. This is just, I'm not a criminal. I haven't caused anyone loss, harm, or injury, which is the only reason why they would need to be involved in my life. I've been robbed. And then my private property just got destroyed by the Saanich Police Department because of their hatred. And now what am I supposed to do?
So I don't have any numbers that you're looking for. You would have to search for those on your own time. I don't have anybody specific I can direct you to in terms of your complaint regarding like Saanich Police. If you need to supply further information to that, we ask at this time if it can be put in writing, just because it's not assigned yet. So, but it is past the point of intake. So, if it's in writing, that way we can attach it to the file accordingly, and the analyst can review it once they've been assigned. But as for the numbers for federal government, those I don't have.
Because you know how I got to you? I just called the Wishaw RCMP and I asked to be put to the BC Hate Crimes Unit. And then they put me to you, which doesn't help me at all. Because you're not the RCMP.
Yeah. No, we're not. They have done that in the past. They just are unfortunately misinformed of what we can do. And so it's sorry for wasting your time, but they wasted your time. But
I can't find contact information. Apparently there's a BC Hate Crime Unit, and yet how is it that I can't find a contact for them? So is that just smoke and mirrors? I don't understand.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have that number. I'm not even aware of where you would find that number. It's just out of the jurisdiction in which we have.
Well, that's great, because now I'm in fear for my life, and I have no idea who to even call and reach out to, because they are going to be criminally harassing me. And, I can't expose myself to injury and loss and harm, and I can't do that. So this is going to end up being a forced situation, where they're going to be forcing me to do something I know that I can't do. And so this is going to result in the crime of torture. That's what's about to happen to me. Because I wouldn't...
there's that.
Oh, I know.
Our office can help us in terms of, immediate assistance.
No.
That's just not something we were able to help you out with.
Okay, well, I have to try to figure something out here, so...
I'll make a note that you've called in and that you're looking to speak with the analyst once they've been assigned, but that's all I'm able to do right now in my position.
Is there no way you can forward me through the phone to the BC RCMP folks?
No, I don't have the capability of doing that. You'd have to contact them on your own time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
So, I just read out recently... Well, there's no fucking point here. Okay, so last week I got the number, so I got an email address for these criminals who are doing business as Crown Counsel. And I sent a PDF attachment where I explained all the lawful reasons why I cannot be a part of your malicious prosecution, your violence, your hatred, your criminal harassment, your uttering threats. And now here's what I hear back. A little after 9 o'clock in the morning last Friday from, these are criminals I'm dealing with. Listen, you can't reason with a fool because fools are unreasonable, and I'm trying to reason with fools. These are corrupt, crooked, contaminated, confused creatures I'm dealing with. Now let's read what the Claws wrote down here. The Claws, who are representing the Crown. Good morning. The outstanding warrant can be addressed by turning yourself in anytime in person to police at the Victoria Courthouse during business hours, or at the Victoria Courthouse during business hours. You may wish to get legal advice from a lawyer of your choice. Duty counsel is also available to assist free of charge once you turn yourself in. A lawyer can assist with advocacy to the Crown and the court about any charges you face, outstanding warrants, and so on. We will not be communicating further about this matter until the warrant is dealt with, but if you have a lawyer who represents you, you may instruct the lawyer to communicate with our office as needed. Regards, Crown Counsel. So you're just dealing with alleged, nameless, faceless beasts. So here's the problem with what I just read out. I'm not a person. I'm a woman. I'm a foreigner. I don't identify as legal person Victoria Ann Evans. That's a corporation. It's a business. Legal advice? Well, I'm sorry. I'm aware of law maxims, and legality is not reality. Not reality at all. Assistant? Why would I need an assistant? Represent me? No, I don't need a representative, thanks. When you hire yourself one of these BARF members, you are considered a ward of the court. You are considered an infant and an imbecile. Because you've just let them know that you can't handle your own affairs. I understand the difference between a living woman and a legal fiction. And the Crown owns a legal fiction name, Victoria Ann Evans. And they keep coming after me, the living woman. So that means you didn't read what I wrote to you? And all the lawful reasons why you can't continue with what you're doing? And now you're wasting taxpayer money? I don't need advice, thank you. Why would I get advice from a liar? You're all the fucking same. I mean, aren't you all the same? And now let's see something else that I found the other day. Oh, we've got presumptions happening here. Now this is going to work in every single arena. In every single arrogant, immoral, abomination arena. In every legal proceeding, this is what they've got going on here. They've got presumptions. Yeah, the profane and the pathetic are working on presumptions. Presumptions of the court. The Roman court doesn't operate according to any rule of law, true rule of law, but by presumptions. Therefore, if presumptions presented by the bar are not rebutted, they become fact and therefore said to stand true, or truth in commerce, because this is all about money. They are now trying to make a whole bunch of money using the legal fiction name, which is it's a business, right? It's all about commerce. It's all about money. There's 12 key presumptions asserted by the BARF members. If unchallenged, they stand true, being public record, public service, public oath, immunity, summons, custody, court of guardians, court of trustees, government as executor, beneficiary, executors, desuntort, incompetence, and guilt. So number one, the presumption of public record is that any matter brought before a lower court is a matter for the public record, when in fact is presumed by the BARF members that it's a private business matter, unless openly rebuked and rejected by stating clearly the matter is to be on the public record. The matter remains a private matter, completely under private bar rules. Now, when the beast was just out the door here, this was made evident to me that this is a private matter. Yeah, they're trying to protect my privacy. No, they're not actually, and you are violating my right to seclusion. You're violating my right to peace. You're violating my right to liberty. You're violating my right to be left the fuck alone because you are clearly mentally ill. And now it was spoken to me today that I'm going to now be put in some kind of, mental health facility. Because I won't bow to the beast and the faces of the beast. The presumption of public service is that all the BARF members who have all sworn a solemn, secret, absolute oath to their guild then act as public agents of the government or public officials by making additional oaths of public office that openly and deliberately contradict their private superior oaths to their own guild. Well, it's a coven, right? Unless openly rebuked and rejected, the claim stands, and these private bar covens are legitimate public servants and therefore trustees under public oath. And the presumption of public oath is that all members of the bar act in the capacity of public officials who have sworn a solemn public oath remain bound by that oath and therefore bound to serve honestly, impartially, and fairly as dictated by their oath. Unless openly challenged and demanded, the presumption stands that the bar members have functioned under their public oath in contradiction to their coven oath. If challenged, such individuals must recuse themselves as having a conflict of interest and cannot possibly stand under a public oath. The presumption of immunity is that key members of the bar, in the capacity of public officials acting as adjudicators, well, that's who they are, right? Attorneys, crown, counsel, whatever their fucking sicko title is, who have sworn a solemn public oath in good faith, are immune from personal claims of injury and liability unless openly challenged and their oath demanded. And, the presumption stands that the members of the coven, the bar, as public trustees acting as adjudicators and masters and judges and crown counsel and magistrates are immune from any personal accountability for their actions. The presumption of summons is that by custom a summons unrebutted stands, and therefore one who attends court is presumed to accept a position, a defendant, juror, witness, and jurisdiction of the court. Attendance to court is usually invitation by summons, unless the summons is rejected and returned with a copy of the rejected filed prior to choosing to visit or attend. Jurisdiction and position as the accused and the existence of guilt stands. Well, see, that's why I sent them the correspondence. I rebut your authority. I rebut your jurisdiction. I rebut and refuse your malicious prosecution counts. So I've rebutted all of their presumptions of summons. The presumption of custody is that by custody, a summons or warrant for arrest unrebutted stands, and therefore one who attends court is presumed to be a thing and therefore liable to be detained in custody as custodians. Well, when I was being attacked at the end of August by the armed and the dangerous, by the violent and the vile, I was referred to as a prisoner. So let me just quash your presumption right now that I am your prisoner, that I am your ward, that I'm a woman who will agree to your violence and your hatred and your need to end my life with your violence and your hatred. This includes the dead legal non-fiction, this includes the dead legal fiction non-human person that corporate government rules and regulations are written for. Custodians may only lawfully hold custody of property and things, not flesh and blood, soul-possessing men and women. So have you noticed all the wording that they've used when they're communicating with me, the woman, the living woman, who's not even from this world? So custodians may only lawfully hold custody of property and things. Sorry, I just read that. Unless this presumption is openly challenged by rejection of summons and or at court, the presumption stands that you are a thing and property and therefore lawfully able to be kept in custody by custodians. Well, let me quash that presumption right now. I'm not a legal fiction. I'm not a person. I'm not acting as a person. I'm not an artificial person, and I'm not a natural person either. The presumption of court of guardians. Oh, right. So that would be what the armed and dangerous then presume themselves to be, right? Because if you're identifying yourselves, if you're identifying me as your prisoner, then what, you're some type of guardian? Is the presumption that as you may be listed as a resident or a ward of a local government area and have listed on your passport the letter P that you are a pauper and therefore under the guardian powers of these arrogant, immoral abomination agents and its agents as court of guardians, unless this presumption is openly challenged to demonstrate you are both a general guardian and general executor of the matter, the trust before the court, the presumption stands, and you are by default a pauper and lunatic, and therefore must obey the rules of the clerk of guardians, the clerk of magistrates court, which is, the adjudicator. And so that's why now they were here this morning claiming that they're going to put me in some type of residence. Right. Because we can just read right here what's going on. Because now I'm unlawfully determined to be. I'm fraudulently determined to be. I'm maliciously determined to be. Right? A lunatic. We can read it right here. The presumption of Court of Trustees is that members of the bar presume you accept the office of trustee as a public servant and government employee just by attending their reprobate rat Roman courts. As such, courts are always for public trustees and by the rules of the barf in the Roman system. Unless this presumption is openly challenged to state you are merely visiting by invitation to clear up the matter, and you are not a government employee or public trustee in this instance, the presumption stands and is assumed as one of the most significant reasons to claim jurisdiction simply because you appeared. So now they're trying to force me to appear so they can get jurisdiction, so they can rape the estate of Victoria Ann Nevins, so they can make a whole bunch of more money now by torturing the living woman, which is the woman that you're listening to. I'm the living woman who's being violently, criminally harassed. I'm being threatened. I'm being intimidated. I'm in fear for my life. I don't know what part about that you don't understand. And no, we can read what's going on here. This is what's happening. The presumption of government acting in two roles as executor and beneficiary is that for the matter at hand, the BARF members appoint the adjudicator in the capacity of executor, while the prosecutor, as crown counsel around here, right, acts in the capacity of beneficiary of the trust for the current matter. Unless this presumption is openly challenged to demonstrate you are both a general guardian and general executor of the matter before the court, the presumption stands, and you are by default the trustee, therefore must obey the rules of the executor. The presumption of executor de son tort is the presumption that if the accused does seek to assert their rights as executor and beneficiary over their body, mind, and soul, they are acting as the executor de son tort, or a false executor, challenging the rightful adjudicator as executor. Therefore, the adjudicator assumes the role of true executor and has the right to have you arrested, detained, fined, or forced into a psychiatric evaluation, which is what they're trying to do to me right now. Unless this presumption is openly challenged by not only asserting one's position as executor, as well as questioning if the judge or magistrate or the adjudicator in my matters is seeking to act as executor de son tort, the presumption stands and a judge or magistrate of the BARF may seek to assist the bailiff and the sheriff to assert the false claim. The presumption of incompetence is the presumption that you are at least ignorant of the law, therefore incompetent to present yourself and argue properly. Well, I don't argue. Arguing is the way of arrogant, immoral abominations. That's who argues, who speaks like that. Therefore, the adjudicator as executor has the right to have you arrested, detained, fined, or forced into a psychiatric evaluation. Well, that's what they're going to do to me. That's their plan. That's their grand plan right now. That's what they've planned to do, because I stood up for my property. I stood up for the honor of my spouse, and I need my property returned. Unless this presumption is openly challenged to the fact that you know your position as executor and beneficiary and actively rebuke and object to any contrary presumptions, then it stands by the time of pleading that you are incompetent then the adjudicator can do what they need to keep you obedient. Oh, really? The presumption of guilt is the presumption that as it is presumed to be a private business meeting of the BARF, you are guilty whether you plead guilty, do not plead, or plead not guilty. Sorry. Let me read that again. The presumption of guilt is the presumption that as it is presumed to be a private business meeting of the BARF, you are guilty whether you plead guilty, do not plead, or plead not guilty. Therefore, unless you either have previously prepared an affidavit of truth and motion to dismiss the extreme prejudice onto the public record or call it demurrer, then the presumption is you are guilty, and the bar can hold you until a bond is prepared to guarantee the amount the guild wants to profit from you. So do you see what's happening here? So once again, they are seeking to make a whole bunch of money off of malicious prosecution. And so I need to rebut all of these presumptions of every single male and female who is doing business as the Saanich Police Department, as the mayor of Saanich. So the mayor of the mob manager of the district of Saanich here is Dean Murdoch. And the chief criminal here, acting as chief of the armed and dangerous, is Dean Duthie. And then, of course, we have Laura Wheeler, who's pretending to be the Crown Counsel. So let me just correct all your presumptions, okay? These 12 presumptions that you now hold are all now destroyed and quashed. No, thank you. No, listen, your system is sadistic, it's satanic, it's sociopathic. I'm fully aware of maxims of law, right? You are the criminals. You're the criminals. The right to be let alone is indeed the beginning of all freedom. Government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force. The charter is not an instrument for the government to restrain the people, it's an instrument for the people to restrain the government. Where rights secured by the charter are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. No state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee thereof. The claim and exercise of a charter right cannot be converted into a crime. Let me say that again. The claim and exercise of a charter right cannot be converted into a crime. So I claim and exercise every single one of my rights under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and those rights can now not be converted into a crime. I do not stand under your authority. I do not stand on your jurisdiction. It is a crime for you to cause me to be in fear of my life. And now I have just quashed all your presumptions. Those are your 12 presumptions, and I'm now verbalizing to you that whatever you're presuming, these 12 presumptions, no thank you. No. No, I will not. I will not appear. I will not be detained by force against my will, my conscience, and my culture. This is severe discrimination. That's what you're doing. So now you're not following any of the laws that you have to follow. Well, yes, you're government employees, right? You're government employees. So you have to follow the international and regional instruments for protection from discrimination. You have to follow them. You have to follow the Universal Declaration of Rights of Humans and People. You have to follow the UN Declaration on all forms of racial discrimination. You have to eliminate that. The International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. There's another one. There was one from 1963, and then there's one from 1965. And then you have to follow the International Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Because you did this to me when you stole my real biological property, my son. You did the same process. So now what we've had here is we've had criminals acting as Saanich Police Department fabricate evidence. Yes, that's what they've done. They fabricated evidence. So I'm not a ward of the court. I'm not your prisoner. Saanich Police Department persons who keep now coming and criminally harassing me. The person's acting as adjudicator here at 850 Burdett Avenue I rebut the presumption that you have authority to cause me to be in fear of harm and injury. I rebut the presumption that you have the authority to treat me like a lunatic and put me in some kind of wherever you figure you're going to be putting me. No, thank you. You are completely trying to destroy my life because of your hatred and your discrimination. And because we all know that you're criminals. We all know that you're all frauds. We all know that. You know that, I know that, and anybody listening to me knows that. You need to leave me alone. I will not consent to what you're doing. I don't consent to your paperwork. Your paperwork doesn't apply to me. I'm sorry, I'm a living woman. I'm a foreigner. And you have to follow the common law. Because now what you're doing is, see, what is not permitted is prohibited. So you're not permitted to continue to criminally harass me. You're not permitted to execute a warrant for my arrest. You're not permitted because I'm the woman who's letting you know that you're not permitted. You're not permitted to continue to come to my location and criminally harass me and threaten me. You are not permitted. So if you're not permitted, that means you're prohibited, because you're working on presumptions and assumptions that you have some authority in my life, and you just don't, because you can only act on a fiction, because you're all fictitious actors. So a woman should not be deprived of their property without their consent. Well, my time is my property. My right to liberty, my rights are my property. You won't be depriving me of my property. And you have to follow the common law, and the common law is do no harm. You don't go around harming others, and that's exactly what you're trying to do. Because now you're just proving yourselves to be criminal organizations. Well, you keep proving it. You're clearly trying, well, you're guilty of genocide, are you not? I told you. So right here, it's a case. Inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, an abstract, and a creature of the mind only, government can only interface with the other artificial persons. The imaginary, having neither actual nor substance, is foreclosed from creating and attending partiality with the tangible. The legal manifestation of this is that no government, as well as any law agency, aspect, court, can concern themselves with anything other than corporate, artificial persons, and the contracts between them. I told you right from the jump on August the 30th, no contract. I do not consent. So once you continue with on what you're doing, and now we've quashed all your presumptions and your assumptions, you have no authority. You have no standing. You are personally liable for the loss, harm, and injury you caused me. You're liable in your personal capacity. Every male and female acting as the policy enforcement, every male and female acting as Crown Counsel, every male and female acting as the bench. You're responsible in your personal capacity for the loss, harm, and injury that you are willingly, knowingly trying to cause me. Leave me the fuck alone. Stay the fuck out of my life. Leave me the fuck alone. Don't you fucking dare come back here. I do not recognize well, you're just ugly. You're unprofessional, you're useless, and you're ugly. And it's the same arrogant, immoral, accented asshole that keeps coming in fucking criminally harassing me and threatening me. It's the same fucking one. Leave me the fuck alone. Stay the fuck out of my life. And yes, when I send you something, you read it. I don't give a flying fuck about your satanic cult reprobate rat rules.